Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Oh, wait a minute, it's March. Yeah, this video was supposed to be out before Christmas. Well, I guess it's better late than never, right? So Adult Swim released a horror movie called Yule Log way back in December. It was a holiday movie, minus the holiday, and with lots of blood. It was written and directed by the legend himself, Casper Kelly, you know, the maniac behind Too Many Cooks. It was Adult Swim's first live-action horror film, and I was going to upload a breakdown and review of the film as a special Zero Omens holiday video for you guys. Now, I'm gonna be honest, prior to Yule Log releasing, I was originally going to review Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas for a special holiday video, but that monstrosity was so bad that I had to go back to therapy for a couple of weeks because that movie made my anxiety much worse than what it already is. I had never seen anything so awful in my entire life. Besides this one time back in high school when an old friend of mine tried to do a backflip over a traffic cone in the parking lot. That was pretty grotesque, but somehow Saving Christmas was much worse. Thankfully, however, Yule Log released and cured my insanity and depression. I immediately scrapped my entire Saving Christmas trash talk video and got to work on a breathtaking breakdown video about Yule Log, or The Fireplace, which is the film's alternate title. Now, this Yule Log project was supposed to release a few days before the holidays, and it was all set to go until I received a copyright claim that blocked the video worldwide. So, over the last few months, I've been working on fixing this video up, and I think I have it at a point where it falls under fair use and I won't have to deal with any more claims. So if you guys see this video, that means I did a pretty great job. Anyways, at long last, here is the Adult Swim Yule Log Zero Omens Christmas Holiday Spectacular about 2 months later. I will be breaking down the entire movie and discussing my thoughts and opinions on the project. It's a very different video from what I normally upload, but let me know in the comments below if you enjoy this kind of content and you want to see more kinds of videos like this from me in the future. But before we begin, here is your spoiler and disturbing content warning. I'm going to be explaining the entire movie in this video. So if you haven't seen Yule Log or The Fireplace and you don't want to be spoiled, then go check out the film. It's on HBO Max. If you also get grossed out easily by blood and stuff, then maybe watch one of my other videos instead. I didn't include any insane moments from the film, like the shower scene. If you guys have seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. But there are still some moments in this video that might be a little bit grotesque, so again, please be cautious. It's not a big deal if you get grossed out easily by stuff and want to watch something totally different, like I understand. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Let's begin. So this movie begins by introducing us to one of the main characters of the film. And I'm not even joking either. This burning Yule log is very important to the story and plays a huge role in this movie, so remember it for later. So really for the first 2 minutes, we see nothing but a burning log. But if you had big energy during this premiere, and you stuck around longer than 2 minutes, you were definitely rewarded. Because after the 2 minutes of burning Yule log, we are introduced to the owner of the property. Her name is Diane, and she is pretty annoyed because the cleaning service that was supposed to clean up her Airbnb for the next guests didn't show up, or she had some type of issue going on with them, so she had to get down and dirty with the vacuum cleaner, oh yeah. However, her vacuuming escapades were interrupted by a loud knock at the door, and when Diane opened the door, we could hear what sounds like a middle-aged southern woman.
Hi, can I help you? Yes, I'm having a little bit of car trouble.
Her name is Mother, and she claims that her car broke down and her phone died, and she asks Diane if she can borrow her phone. Diane, of course, is pretty skeptical of the woman, but before she could ask any more questions, she's greeted by Mother's son, Arvid, or Pleatherface.
Wait, what are you? No, you can't. No, what are you? You can't come in here.
Now, judging by the giant footsteps in the house, it sounds like Pleatherface is a pretty fat kid. I'm not making fun of him for his weight either, alright? We don't fat shame anybody around here. We here at the Zero Omens YouTube channel just state facts. The kid's pretty large, and also he's not really a kid. So Arvid, or Pleatherface, and Mother barge through the door against Diane's wishes. She ends up getting hunted down and brutally murdered by the hands of Pleatherface. Why though? We'll get to that later. Mother begins to clean up the bloody mess, but unfortunately for her, two people are about to enter the house. In a panic, Mother and Pleatherface drag Diane's body and hide in a closet in the house before they're spotted. Oh, knock knock, who's there? Our two main characters and renters of this property, Alex and Zoe, played by Justin Miles and Andrea Lang. As it turns out, the camera recording the Yule Log is Alex's AF-100, which isn't important to the story. I just like cameras, and I figured one of you would care. Turns out one of Alex's hobbies is filming Yule Log videos, or burning log videos, or fireplace videos. You know, the ones your mom puts on YouTube, and he does make some money from it. So next time your mom throws on a 10-hour log burning video, be sure to thank Alex. Zoe notices that the house is dusty and questions whether the cleaning lady even showed up to do her job. Oh, she tried, Zoe. She tried her damn best. Alex quickly assumes that because parts of the house were built before the Civil War, that the place was just bound to be dusty. Which, yeah, logic. Totally makes sense. Anyways, it's a romantic getaway, and what better way to spend some quality time with a significant other than by drinking? Alex and Zoe hang out by the fire, get pretty flirty. But there's a moment where Alex's camera autofocuses on the bucket that was used to chill the wine that Zoe and Alex are drinking. We end up seeing a reflection of Leatherface sticking his head out from the closet him, Mother, and Diane's corpse are hiding in. Anyways, the camera focuses back on Zoe and Alex, who is carrying some snacks over to the living room. But uh-oh, SpaghettiOs! Alex gets a Charlie horse. Zoe, worried about her boyfriend's horse, or Charlie, or damn it, Cramp, tries to help. But it was just a prank, baby. That's right, you got pranked, Zoe. Alex is proposing, oh my god. However, Zoe is pretty hesitant to say yes, and before she can 100% turn down Alex, the sheriff and his deputy pull up outside the house to warn the couple about a murderer on the loose in the area. The sheriff and deputy step inside and immediately question the log being burned in the fireplace. Alex explains that he picked up the firewood from an old tree down the road. However, this wasn't just any old tree. According to the sheriff, it was a hanging tree, which was used during an era where people thought that 1, owning slaves was cool, and 2, hanging slaves was also cool. Neither of those things are cool, by the way. The sheriff also mentioned that the tree was sacred to a tribe that used to live in the area who referred to it as a demon tree, and it would feed on fear and blood, which is pretty metal if you ask me. Allegedly, there was a plaque nailed to the tree, but according to the deputy, Diane took the plaque down because she rents that area out for weddings, and no wedding goers want to read about slavery. Alex and Zoe didn't realize that the tree was very significant to history, otherwise they would have found logs from another tree. So the sheriff asks for a glass of water. Now, if you take a look in the background, notice how the sheriff is putting some funny stuff into flames. Keep that in mind for later. Zoe brings back a cup of water for the sheriff to put the fire out with and asks the couple not to reignite the log and to carry it outside in the morning using some cloth and to bury it and maybe say a prayer.
Well, wait till he tells you about the aliens.
Ooh, totally not foreshadowing a very wacky plot point that happens later in the film. Ooh. The sheriff apologizes for interrupting the couple's stay at the house, and the deputy gets a little frisky with Alex's camera. Okay, partner. Okay, you can slow down now. You know, it really seems like the sheriff and the deputy just care a lot about these people. Boy, howdy do they care. A lot. Eventually, the sheriff and the deputy hand the couple their number and take off. But as Alex shuts the front door, we get our first vignette of the film. At least I think that's the word you would use for this. I don't know. We'll call it a clip or a crossfade or whatever the f. I think it's a vignette. I don't know. If none of you care. You know what I'm going to talk about anyway. A black and white scene appears on screen and it shows 2 young brothers from the 1950s chasing each other around the exact same house that Alex and Zoe are currently staying at. But then it fades away shortly after. Seems pretty random, right? Not really. Happens all the time. Happens to me when I'm minding my own business. Zoe is freaking out about the killer, which is totally understandable. I mean, if I was staying at a random Airbnb on some mountain and there was a killer in the area, I'd be pissing and shitting myself too. It's just a natural reaction. Alex, however, tries to comfort and calm down Zoe in the worst way possible by kissing her and explaining to her that murders aren't very common and that the killer currently on the loose is probably very far away, despite this being seen in the reflection again. No, but you keep doing your thing, Alex. I'm sure it's gonna work. Alex hugs Zoe from behind and offers to reignite the log, despite the sheriff's orders not to light the log again. Zoe isn't having it, and to be honest, I agree with her. Why the f would you want to light a supposed cursed log back up in flames? Like, what? So Alex expresses his disappointment about the entire night, which is also really understandable. I mean, he set up this whole intimate moment, probably planned it for months, saved up a lot of money to get Zoe that engagement ring, and to have his entire plan ruined in a matter of minutes kind of bites. If I was in his shoes, I'd probably be disappointed as well. And I almost feel bad for Alex, but then he tries to get an answer out of Zoe regarding the proposal, which kind of makes me want to SMH my head, fam. Like, come on, Alex. The mood is clearly ruined. Like, try again tomorrow, at least. Give the girl some time to herself. So Zoe explains that she doesn't want to marry Alex at the moment because she's scared of becoming her mom, who apparently destroyed her father, metaphorically speaking. We then go on to learn that Zoe is dealing with a lot of mental setbacks, like anxiety. She's constantly doubting herself and her abilities and doesn't believe that she deserves a great, happy, chill guy like Alex. But good guy Alex does his best to comfort Zoe and reassure her, which is thoughtful of him. Man, I gotta find me an Alex. I finally gained some respect for Alex again, but then Alex goes ahead and asks another dumb question to Zoe.
Do
Really
you
strongly.
think that maybe we should up your medication?
This isn't just Willow.
Zoe goes on to explain that her being upset isn't just about Willow, which is a character that doesn't appear on screen, but we're going to talk about her later on in the video, so don't worry. Just keep Willow in mind. All you need to know is that one of the reasons why Zoe is upset and stressed is because of a person named Willow. Remember that name. So Zoe begins her nihilistic rant about the planet dying, the coral reefs dying, global warming, climate change, feeling uncomfortable about raising a future child in this existential crisis. And I think some people in this world can totally relate a lot to Zoe. Like people who are true believers of science and climate change, global warming, they might feel a sense of dread that sea levels, dying coral reefs, and rising temperatures might not be reversible. And like if I were one of those people feeling that existential dread, why would I want to attempt to raise a kid? I think Zoe's concerns are very valid, but I do think she needs to learn to at least appreciate life's positives more than linger on to its negatives, which is what Alex wants to show and teach her. The thing about this movie you have to remember is that Alex and Zoe are like complete opposites. Alex is very laid back, chill, goes with the flow, tries to look at life's positives more. Zoe on the other hand is dealing with a lot mentally, which is understandable. Alex wants to show Zoe that despite the shitty parts of life, they are truly living in the best world compared to tens, hundreds, hell, even thousands of years ago. Zoe's stubbornness tries to deflect Alex's words, but he continues to push through, which eventually calms down Zoe enough to the point where she's comfortable to ask Alex if he wants to get in the hot tub. During this entire conflict, we get another vignette of a woman named Rosa who is handing a man named Isaac a plate of food. If you couldn't tell by their outfits and decor, this takes place either before or during the Civil War. Anyways, we're back to the present, but oh no, someone's knocking at the door. Must be the killer. Everybody get ready. Aw, it's 4 random offs who also booked the Airbnb. You know, I just have this weird feeling that the writers of this movie wanted to murder more people on screen, so they came up with this double booked Airbnb excuse, which I mean, it works. I'm not complaining. I still enjoyed this movie very much. Welcome to the screen, Ben, Beth, Henry, and Holly. These 4 lovely people host a very terrible murder podcast called There's a Podcast in the House. That's exactly how they say it, okay?
There's a podcast in the house!
What you need to know about these 4 is that Henry is a dumb stoner and disappointment to his family, Holly is his very attractive girlfriend, Ben and Beth are a couple, and all 4 of them took edibles before they arrived, so nobody is leaving this house tonight. Ben and Alex call up the owner of the house to resolve the double booking issue, but when they give the number a call, Diane's phone can be heard from underneath the couch in the living room. Zoe picks it off the ground and begins to speculate why the owner's phone was left behind. Was she murdered? Did she forget about it? Of course, you and I know the answer to this, but these people don't know anything yet. Zoe, being paranoid and worried and scared, suggests calling the sheriff, which of course Alex, being the good boy that he is, does the request. Holly then starts getting handsy with the camera, just like the deputy. You know what? No complaints from me. Ben tries to reignite the log, but Zoe yells at him and tells him it's a cursed log, which, you know, everybody in the living room doesn't believe. Ben and Beth go on to talk about lynching photos featuring aliens. Ooh, alien foreshadowing? As you can tell, Alex is pretty okay with these people, but Zoe isn't happy that they're in the house. Ben and Beth then go on to talk about how the mountain that the house was built on was the site for lynching and alien abductions in the 1950s. Ooh, alien foreshadowing again? They then give us a brief example of a famous abduction that happened on the very mountain they're on, which was the case of Esther Jane Dickens, who we learn is the mother of the 2 brothers in the 1950s vignette. Beth tells Zoe that they plan on interviewing Esther's grandkids on their podcast at some point. Spoiler alert, no they won't. Alex gets off the phone with the sheriff and tells the gang that they could call back tomorrow if Diane doesn't show up, which, newsflash, she's dead. But you and I already knew that, they don't. Another clip or vignette or whatever you want to call it appears on the left half of the screen, which features a woman from the 90s doing laundry while listening to music. Then a clip of the boys from the 1950s covers the right half of the screen. Then we receive a new vignette of a 1960s woman leaving the house while her husband watches TV. And finally, we return to Rosa and Isaac's story. Now, Rosa asks Isaac if he can bring a boy named William a quilt that she made for him. As it turns out, Rosa and Isaac had a child together named William. Isaac promised Rosa that William will be sold to a man named Mr. Luther. Again, very uncomfortable time period in America, okay? Who Rosa knew would treat her son well. However, Isaac's father found out and told Isaac to auction William off to make more money. Mr. Luther's bid wasn't high enough and he lost to a man named Mr. Armfield. Rosa was disappointed and upset that Isaac lied to her despite Isaac reassuring her that William would be in good hands. But before we could find out what happens next, boom! We're back to the present, baby. Alex decides to let these four stay the night even though they did technically pay for the house. So really nobody should be asking for permission to begin with. They all can stay in the house because they paid. Beth and Ben decide to take the room upstairs. Holly and Henry decide to take the couches, and Alex and Zoe have the main level room. Beth, Henry, and Holly decide to check out the hot tub, to which we are greeted with Holly's which, again, you know, zero complaints for me. Ben, however, is not a fan of hot tubs. He is known as a hot tub phobic. So he decides to instead go upstairs and take a shower before his edible kicks in. Alex and Zoe head to their room to unpack and discuss what the balls is happening. Meanwhile, the Yule Log, you remember the Yule Log? Yeah, I told you it was going to be a main character in this film. The log reignites magically and is horny, I mean hungry for blood. The log wanders through the house, upstairs, and murders Ben in the shower in one of the most horrific murder scenes I have ever seen in a movie. Now, I don't think I could really show you guys the corpse on YouTube because of how mangled and disfigured it is. But, you know, all you need to know is that the log murders Ben. And also the log is a living, breathing thing. I told you it was going to be a main character. Some minutes go by, and Holly, Beth, and Henry come back into the house from the hot tub, talking about how Holly always dates Asian guys. That weird joke will make sense in a bit, trust me. Everybody's having a good time, Henry's high as a kite, and Alex walks out from his bedroom to hang out with the group. They talk about the podcast, what Alex does for a living, how much he makes from it. And for a brief moment, it seems like Beth is being a little bit flirty with Alex, and I thought that was going to go somewheres, but I guess it didn't.
Why? Because I'm annoying?
No, because you're smart.
Zoe comes out and asks who lit the fire, to which everybody's like, oh my god, who lit the fire? How did this happen? Then Henry brings that awkward tension by asking if anyone wants an edible. Yeah, I mean, sure, hand it over. Henry, being a curious boy, asks Alex about his filming job, how much he makes. I gotta take a few steps back for a second because I forgot a very important detail. When Henry starts asking Alex about his filming job and how much he makes, Henry goes on to say that in addition to the podcast, he also does freelance photography, which, it isn't true at all. Henry just shot a wedding video, which he wasn't even paid for. And according to Holly, their podcast doesn't even pay yet either, which prompts Henry to state that he also went to optometry school for a day. And what we've come to find is that Henry just a drug dealer. Poor guy. He seems like a nice dude, I'll give him that. Alex takes an edible and just tells these three random people about Zoe and her problems she's been dealing with, which I found a little bit odd because, like, why would you tell complete strangers your own business or even somebody else's business? That doesn't really make any sense to me, but I digress. Alex goes on to talk about Willow. Remember Willow? The character I mentioned before? Zoe and Willow work at a non-profit that helps coral reefs. They had an auction with a bunch of rich corpos, and Zoe's job was to handle the money received from the auction and take it to the bank. However, one day, according to Alex, she had her period and it leaked through her dress, so she politely asked Willow if she could take the cash to the bank instead. Willow agreed, but sadly, she was robbed and murdered on her way to the bank. So we now know that Zoe is upset because she feels somewhat responsible for Willow's death despite her not directly being the cause of it. And because of this event, she now carries a gun in her purse. Again, I'm not entirely sure why you want to tell all these random new strangers about a gun and a purse in the house, but I digress. Zoe has a lot of weight on her shoulders, and sometimes it can be tough to push through all the shit. While all of this is happening, Henry starts tripping balls, man. And he ends up seeing an old, tiny little man in the fireplace, commanding him to crawl through the fire. So Henry does exactly that. He crawls into the fireplace into, I guess, another dimension, or he's just in the fireplace. I don't know. All you need to know is he crawls through the fireplace and ends up in hell with an old man and a very cool looking bartender. God damn. The old man is titled Little Man in the credits, but I'm just gonna keep calling him Old Man because he's an old guy. He kind of reminds me of like a weird alternate version of Colonel Sanders. Henry takes a seat at the table and the man offers to grab him a Dr. Pepper, which is Satan's choice of drink. Yeah, take that, you Dr. Pepper drinkers. While the old man is grabbing him a drink, Henry takes a look to the side of him and notices a man and two girls holding a beach ball covered in blood. Or tomato sauce. It's not really explained what that is. I'm guessing it's blood, but that's just me. The man tells Henry to pay no mind to them. Well, damn, Jackie, I'm gonna mind. What's up with the pizza faces? Oh, no Dr. Pepper? Only a nurse nutmeg? Man, I hate this place. I want to go home. Then the man takes Henry on a trip through what I'm dubbing as a time elevator. And the two of them go back in time and- wait a fucking second, is that the dude from Too Many Cooks? Well, hello, you old bastard. What are you doing here? While in the time elevator, the old man speaks to Henry about how he is allegedly the screw-up of the family, which obviously is not a surprise to anyone because we just finished learning about his one day at optometry school and his wedding video gig, and how he also sells drugs. So the old man offers to help Henry correct his past and wipe away all of the mistakes and stains from it. Now, Henry is hesitant at first, but eventually he is convinced. The old man and Henry go back in time to before he was even born. Now, Henry's job is pretty simple here. He needs to sneak through the fireplace into his mom's house with a magic marker provided to him by the old man, take a sticky note from the coffee table in the living room, write A++ on the note and attach it to the refrigerator, and sneak back through the fireplace into the time elevator without waking up his pregnant mother. It's pretty simple, right? You're goddamn right it is, boy. Well, everything seems to be going smoothly, but once Henry returns to the time elevator, we learn that, well, either the old man is devious and tricked Henry into killing his mother, or Henry was so high that he just did it without realizing it. Either way, Henry no longer exists. Forget about Henry, he's gone, and so is his mom. So we return to the house with Alex, Beth, Holly, and her boyfriend Hunter. Henry? Who's Henry? Never heard of him. You must be confusing Hunter's name or something. Hunter has always been here. What are you, high or something? Hey, wait a gosh darn stupid second. Where's Ben? Oh yeah, so the gang rushes upstairs to find Ben dead in the shower with his skull crushed. Everyone's freaking out, blaming each other for the murder. Beth calls 911. Oh wait, no she doesn't. Bye Beth. Beth gets destroyed by the Yule Log, baby. It's a fucking circus in this house. Hunter, being the best boyfriend ever, tries to calm everybody down and put the fire out with a cloth or a blanket. However, the log ain't having it, baby. Hunter takes off on the log as if he were a drunk Harry Potter attempting to play a game of Quidditch. But boom! Hunter's gone now. He's dead. Forget about him. He never existed. So that just leaves Alex, Zoe, and Holly to fend for themselves. The gang lock themselves in Ben and Beth's bedroom and attempt to call 911 again, while the pissed off Yule Log bangs on the door like an angry drunk. Now, this next part kind of makes me a little bit angry, but not really. Zoe is calling 911, and Holly explains to Zoe that when she calls the police and tells them what's happening, to not mention that a flying, burning log of wood is trying to kill them because they will not believe them. And to me, in this very moment, I feel like Holly's the audience here. If all of us were in this type of situation, I'm sure all of us would not tell the police some crazy story like that because we've seen so many horror movies where characters try to claim that something outlandish and ridiculous is happening, but the police just laugh it off as a prank. And when Zoe told the police that there was a flying log at the door, I just got really angry because now the cops are definitely not going to show up. Why would they believe something crazy like that? So next time you're in a weird situation where like there's a flying log trying to kill you and you have the chance to call 911, just tell them that some murderer is trying to kill you. And then when the police arrive, you could tell them that a burning log is on the loose. I don't know. Oh, and we also learned that the sheriff and deputy aren't who they say they are. The police department in the area that Zoe calls up doesn't have a sheriff, but a chief of police named Chief Mackey. Wait a minute, so who the hell were Sheriff Wrinkles and Deputy Joe Goldberg? Don't worry, you'll find out in a bit, just remember their faces. Thankfully, the knocking stops. But oh no, the log is outside the window and is hungry for blood and fear. Oh Jesus, oh good guy Alex. God, gotta find a dude like that. They open the door, Holly runs downstairs, but Zoe and Alex take a different route. into a closet with no windows. So Alex and Zoe are in the closet, they play a good game of 7 Minutes in Heaven. Meanwhile, Holly is screaming downstairs. Oh boy, I guess the log finally got her. Oh no, she's gone. Forget about her. Remember when Sheriff Tits tried to sprinkle some magic stuff onto the burning log before? Yeah, well, Zoe remembers.
Came and he sprinkled something on the log.
So the two of them kind of have like a self-aware moment. Alex realizes that his camera was recording the entire situation, and he believes that now there's going to be like a theatrical movie made about them. And he expresses that he believes it's going to be a theatrical movie and not a straight-to-streaming service movie. And I think this moment's really funny because this film, despite it airing on Adult Swim, went straight to HBO Max the following day. So talk about irony. Oh, and remember how there are 0 windows in this closet? Well, there is an air vent, and the log uses it. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, you just got caught, baby. Zoe and Alex try to make an escape, but are cornered by Pleatherface, Mother, and oh look, oh, Holly's alive, thank God. Thank God she's still alive. So Pleatherface, being the tier 3 horny simp that he is, ties up Holly and Zoe by the fire. How romantic, might I add. These two are clearly very uncomfortable, but Arvid knows no boundaries. Tip for all you guys out there who want a girlfriend, this is not how you do it. You don't just tie a girl up, you take them out for dinner. Meanwhile, Mother and Alex spend some quality time alone together in a separate room with a tub of pimento cheese, and wow, this scene is really disgusting to watch. Like, observing Mother eat this cheese out of a container with a knife is like really gross to look at. Like, I want to gag. I want to gag right now, but I'm a man, so I'm just gonna cough instead. Alex wants to know Mother's motives and what she wants, to which she replies with,
I want.
which, to be honest, I think that's a very good answer. I mean, she does go on to explain that she wants a grandbaby and wants her son to meet a girl, but the problem is that every girl that Arvid meets, he murders. So now we finally understand what Pleatherface and Mother's motives and goals are. She wants a grandbaby, and Pleatherface just wants a wife, but doesn't know how to treat a woman with respect. I don't know why she couldn't have just said that to begin with, like instead of giving Alex a very dramatic, cliche answer. What don't I want? I mean, it's just a nitpick though. It's not really a big deal to me. Look, as long as Kirk Cameron doesn't magically appear in the doorway to ruin this movie, then I don't even care what happens next. As far as I'm concerned, Casper Kelly made a blockbuster. Mother hops onto Alex and feeds him a knife full of pimento cheese, which, okay, alright, I'm gagging. Remember when I questioned why Alex would tell all of these strangers about Zoe's life and the fact that she has a gun in her purse? Well, as it turns out, Mother and Pleatherface, to no one's surprise, have been eavesdropping on all of the characters within the house. So Mother pulls out Zoe's gun, which makes Alex very uneasy. Yeah, well, that's what you get for telling everybody everything. But of course, Alex, being the smooth criminal that he is, tries to rationalize with Mother, explaining to her that there are other ways for Arvid or Pleatherface to meet a girl, with applications like Bumble, for example. Of course, his mingling with Mother doesn't work because the trope of playing nice with a killer has never worked in any horror film that I've ever seen, at least. Meanwhile, in the living room, Pleatherface gets bored of Holly and crawls over to Zoe, who is trying her darnest to get untied, and oh no, what's he gonna do with that axe? Oh geez, Rick, oh god, oh, it's a fake out. We just got pranked, baby. God, that guy has some strength. He should really consider learning a trade. I mean, after all, they do pay well, and a guy like him with that strength and height, he'll kill it in the industry.
No. There's a shortage in the trades.
Pleatherface is definitely feeling it in the air tonight, baby, and wants to expose himself to Zoe, and yikes, this relationship is moving way too quickly. As he tries to yank out his yogurt slinger, we get a vignette of a 90s woman by the fire holding a knife, then we get a vignette of Esther pouring her sons a drink, then we head to the 60s to see 60s dad cross-dressing. Finally, we return to Rosa and Isaac's story. Rosa loses her and suffocates Isaac with the quilt that she made for William, and then stabs him with a knife. Pay attention to that knife, it's very important later in the story. Back in the present, the flaming log flies out of the closet and smashes Pleatherface in the face, saving Zoe from having a face full of yogurt. These two creatures, creatures, let's just call them creatures. These two creatures or animals or whatever fight outside in the woods. At the same time, Mother is trying her hardest to get some with Alex, but all of a sudden there's a bright light illuminating the outside of the house. Alex thinks it's the police, but it's not. It's an alien. There's an alien outside. Yeah, who could have saw that coming? Not me. Mother then takes the gun and shoots the alien, which really just pisses it off even more. So the alien takes its vacuum gun and sucks Mother's bodily fluids out of her body and into a container. Alex then tries to communicate with the alien, but that boyo don't speak the English, brother. So the alien starts sucking up his fluids too. Once the alien is finished, he heads out into the living room, notices Zoe, and starts doing this very disgusting thing with its face, which is like a trypophobic's nightmare, might I add. Like, looking at this makes me uncomfortable and itchy. I guess this is the alien's way of getting freaky, but I ain't having it, brother. Another clip of Esther appears on screen. Now, I'm not entirely 100% sure about this, but it appears that Esther sees something crazy outside the house and walks towards it. My guess is that it's an alien. I mean, she was allegedly abducted according to Ben and Beth, so maybe that's what happens here, but again, I don't 100% know. Then we get a vignette of two women from the 90s eating. Then we return to the 60s, where the husband is Then we return to the 60s, where the husband is exposed for cross-dressing by both his wife and some other guy. Then we cut back to Rosa hiding the knife that she used to murder Isaac in the fireplace. Back in the 50s, the two brothers find Rosa's knife, but place it back in the fireplace. And in the present, at this very moment in history, the knife falls down next to Zoe. She picks it up and tries to cut herself free before she's either murdered or sprayed with alien jizz. And oh, geez, it's the alien jizz. Oh, no, oh, wait a minute. Pleatherface is back, and he came to save the day. You know, maybe this guy isn't so bad after all.
You don't touch me under.
Okay, he's still bad. Zoe breaks free and stabs Arvid in these nuts and all across his body until he is no longer a part of this realm. Pretty metal, if you ask me. She then rushes to Alex's aid, who, not surprisingly, is still alive, but is very disoriented from the amount of blood he's lost. They then try to make a break for the front door. However, that pissed off Log is waiting outside for them. So then they untie Holly.
I'm gonna get us out of here, Willow.
Yeah, you noticed that too, right? Zoe refers to Holly as Willow. Then she takes notice of the little man in the fireplace and crawls right in just like Henry did. The old man and Zoe meet in hell, and the old man goes on to talk about the amount of sperm in the average ejaculate and tells Zoe that she's pretty special for being the 1 out of 100 million to make it out into this world. So just a friendly reminder to all of you beautiful people watching this video, you are very lucky and special to be here on this planet, and I love you. Mwah! He then takes Zoe through the time elevator back to the night when her mother and father conceived her. The old man tells Zoe that if she places a baseball on the 3rd step of the staircase, her dad will slip on it, which will in return give his nuts a jostling, which will raise the chances of Zoe not being born and instead allowing for another sperm to win the race. That future offspring could go on to do different, maybe even better things and not indirectly being the cause of Willow's death, and could give Alex a chance to find someone better. Zoe would also be relieved of her anxiety forever because she wouldn't exist. This entire movie has the chance to not exist if Zoe goes through with the old man's offer. Obviously, Zoe can follow in Henry's footsteps and change history forever. However, she doesn't cave in. She finally realizes that life is worth living despite dealing with the hellscape of her reality's negatives. She then insults the old man, which is really funny to see. The man then attempts to get inside of Zoe's head by spewing a bunch of nonsense, which irritates her to the point where she pulls out the knife. However, the little man grabs the knife from Zoe and thanks her for it. And as it turns out, the knife was his the entire time. So, I have a question. Did he give Rosa the knife?
So you found my knife. I've been looking for that.
Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I just have so many questions. It is his knife. Rosa used that knife. What's going on here? Anyways, boom! The old man gets shoved back against the elevator by a fire iron, and Zoe is saved by her wonderful boyfriend, Alex. The 3 characters then run to the car. However, someone forgot the keys inside of the house, and you can't drive anywhere without keys. Holly, being a badass, decides that she's had enough and takes off in the woods, and we never see her again. I'm serious, by the way. We never see or hear from Holly ever again. It's not confirmed whether she made it out alive or died by the hands or legs or wood body of the log or whatever. Now, Adult Swim did state during the promotional period for the fireplace that this was the network's first Yule Log. So I wonder if this is going to be like a yearly tradition where we get a Casper Kelly Yule Log-esque horror film or something to that extent every year for the holidays. I mean, that would be wonderful, but I guess we'll see what happens. If that's the case, maybe we'll learn about the whereabouts of Holly in a Yule Log sequel or some other type of movie. But yeah, Holly escapes, and we never see or hear from her ever again. Meanwhile, Zoe and Alex head back into the house one final time to grab the car keys, the gun, and the axe that Arvid broke, the camera, and they have one final showdown with the log. Zoe makes like a baseball player and swings that motherfucker into the refrigerator where Alex shuts the doors, and they use an axe to keep the door shut. Now, looking at this refrigerator, I'll be honest, it doesn't look secure to me. Like, that axe is gonna fall down any minute. If I was in this house, I would have tipped the refrigerator over so the doors are facing the floor, so that log has no chance of getting out. Because it's only a matter of time before that axe falls out from in between the door handle and the door. Anyways, booyah! Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for! That's what it's all about! Woo! They did it, fam! They escaped the house. So they take off in their vehicle and make their final getaway. All seems right in the world. We then get a shot of the hanging tree that Alex grabbed the log from. From here we get a vignette of Rosa being taken to the tree to be hung for what she did to Isaac. And then we see a satanic cult of sorts in the present surrounding the tree. Look, it's Deputy Mustache and Sheriff Twinkle Tits. It turns out they were a part of this cult. Anyways, these tell Zoe that they cannot leave, but she uses her girl boss powers to plow through the sheriff and take off, and Jesus Christ, did you see that ghost figure in the barn? What was that about? So I don't believe we ever got an answer for who or what this ghost figure is and what they represent. But maybe you guys have some ideas as to who or what this is and why they're standing in front of the barn. Let me know in the comments below. It could just be a creepy ghost figure meant to scare people. But you guys gotta remember that Casper Kelly directed this, so there's probably a deeper meaning behind it. It's finally morning. The night is over. Zoe and Alex are alive and safe, and Holly is somewhere in the woods, I don't know. And in celebration of making it through hell, Zoe puts on the engagement ring, which number one shows us that these two are officially engaged. Congratulations, guys. And number two, it kind of signifies that Zoe is ready to take on the future and isn't afraid anymore. She overcame the biggest obstacle in her life, and now her and Alex can take on the world together. Because no matter what crap life throws at these two, as long as they're together, they can achieve anything. And oh god, look behind you! Wait a minute, what's happening? What? Are you kidding me? Yeah, so, as it turns out, the film was being played on a monitor in an office building. I guess the Yule Log just never happened. We then get to see either modern versions or reincarnated versions of Rosa and Isaac discussing some website designs. These two lovebirds decide to leave work early to take their son William to a game and get a drink. On their way out, we see Arvid fixing an AC unit. He's now a repairman, guys. He did it. He got a redemption arc. Apparently the unit was pretty old, but he believes that he beat it into submission.
AC's pretty old, but I think I beat it into submission.
Oh, Arvid, you class act. You're so funny. Wait, what's happening? Why is everything on fire? Yeah, so this movie kind of already went from 0 to 100, but now it kind of went from 100 to what the f is even happening anymore. Everything begins to flare up. These three characters are repeating lines over and over again. Past Isaac issues an apology to past Rosa about what happened with William and how he failed to keep his word. Then, the little old man in the fireplace shows up and apologizes to Rosa, which leads me to believe that Isaac and the little man are the exact same person. Now, before you think I'm crazy, let me explain. I mean, first of all, Isaac literally transforms into the little man in this burning office scene. Number two, the knife that Rosa used to murder Isaac was the same knife he used for his meal. And when Zoe aimed the same knife towards the little man in the elevator, he exclaimed that he's been looking for that knife forever. Finally, one of the many themes of the film is regret. Henry, for example, regrets being a loser, a failure to his family. Zoe, on the other hand, regrets being the indirect cause of Willow's death. When listening to the little man speak to Zoe in the elevator, it's pretty obvious that he also regrets an event that happened in his past. That past event could potentially be how he regrets auctioning off his son and disappointing Rosa. The fact that he cannot get a do-over to change his history eats him alive every single day. Now, I didn't come up with this idea or anything. I think I found it on like a Reddit thread, but I think out of all the theories I've heard about Yule Log, this one makes the most sense to me personally. But you guys are not required to believe this theory. You can interpret the movie however you want. Either way, I lied. The Yule Log really happened. All of this was real. It's not a movie playing on a monitor in an office building. And the story ends with Alex and Zoe being brutally murdered by little old man and his fire log. And Holly is somewhere in the woods. Where is she? Where is Holly? Who knows? But that's the movie. But before the film ends completely, we do get a juicy, tasteful look at the end credits. Now, throughout this video, I refer to the film as the Yule Log, but sometimes I would also refer to the movie as The Fireplace. It's still the same movie, but it just has two different titles. Well, in the end credits, the film is titled The Fireplace. Normally, fireplace is one word, but here it's two, which leaves me to believe that this was done on purpose. The title of the film might not be referring to the literal fireplace in the house. Maybe the fireplace is a metaphor for the hell our characters were trapped in, aka the house. Or maybe the fireplace is the land where the little man resides, which is totally possible too. We do know that this place isn't hell thanks to the conversation between Henry and the little man. Or just maybe, the fireplace is referring to the fireplace in the house, and we're digging way too deep into this title. I mean, anything is possible here. And I just want to add one more little nitpick before I end this part of the video. I'm curious as to why there wasn't a scene where Alex and Zoe and the rest of the cast find Diane's body in the house. You know, I get that Diane wasn't really as important to the story as other characters, but I mean, it would have been interesting to see what the cast would have done if they found her body. But yeah, that's the movie. Okay, so first of all, what a roller coaster of a movie. The film started as just a fireplace burning video and turned into a full-fledged horror flick, and it was awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I f***ing love this movie. It was an adventure of a lifetime, and for being Adult Swim's first ever live-action horror flick, I think it was very entertaining. Of course, I do have a lot of questions, some nitpicks, and some other minor issues about the film, but for what it was really good. Overall, I think the movie is great for what it is. A lot of people's reviews about Yule Log that I've seen online stated that the project overstayed its welcome, and honestly, I don't believe that it did. I mean, there were many drawn-out moments, and the film did go from like 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye, and some parts are just confusing, but like I'm happy with it. I don't believe that it's the greatest film to ever exist, because that title belongs to the Human Centipede, but I appreciate Adult Swim and Casper putting together a project like this in such a short amount of time and in the wake of what's been happening with their parent company. The characters were unique too, like Henry, Zoe, Mother, the little man, hell, even the log. Give that log an Emmy. Big fan of the alien as well. The film was entertaining, it was insane, it was hilariously gruesome, like when Ben gets murdered in the shower. I personally love silly, stupid, nonsensical, crazy, low-budget films. They're entertaining, they're easy to watch. I don't expect much out of them, and honestly, it doesn't take a lot to impress me or make me happy in terms of film. So like, I'm happy with Yule Log. I watched it 3 times at this point, and I would happily watch it again. I know a lot of people would never watch this project again, and I totally understand that. Like, the film isn't for everyone. But I thought this was great for Casper's first long-form film, and I would totally recommend it to anyone like me. In fact, I'll probably make my family watch it with me next holiday season, because it was that good. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about Yule Log, breaking down the film, talking about some theories, and hopefully you guys give it a watch as well if you haven't already. Again, I think it's still on HBO Max, so give it a watch if you have like 90 minutes of free time and you're bored and you don't want to talk to your wife. But if you guys did go on to enjoy the video, then do me a favor, leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new, click the bell icon to be notified on whenever I upload a brand new video, follow me on all of my social links, Twitter and Instagram, and join my Discord server, link in the bio below. Have a fantastic day everyone, and remember that burning logs are dangerous.